I'm Batman.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Slime, episode 4. So James Gunn has unveiled his plans for the future of DC films, and it is looking incredible. I mean, the one thing that always blew my mind about DC, at one time, they were dominating. They were outcompeting Marvel, and they had all the iconic characters. Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. They had all the right cards, and they've just fallen from grace in the past 15 years and have just been playing catch up with Marvel, and this is wiping the slate clean and trying again. What do you think, Ben?
I'm really excited for them to have a fresh start in the DC universe. You know, us getting news that the universe is going to be reset, and we're getting a new Batman, a new Superman. You know, it's really crazy. But what DC wants to go with now, and what James Gunn wants to go with now, is everything being connected. And if something isn't connected to the main DC timeline, it's very clear that it's an outside project, like Todd Phillips' Joker and the Batman. So it's looking really good. In the past, I've been really impressed with what we've gotten from DC in the past year. What about you?
It's been they've been up and down, right? But I almost find them a more interesting universe to watch than Marvel, because Marvel is consistent and is kind of like a factory and makes good to mediocre product on a pretty consistent basis. But DC, it's kind of up and down, and them trying different things, and just you've seen the characters go in a lot of different directions and a lot of different tones, and it's fascinating. So even the part of it, a lot of them being bad and not enjoyable, that's almost part of the interest to me, just to see the dips and peaks and valleys.
So, like, you know, The Dark Knight used to be, that was like the top DC has ever been. And since like the new universe where we had Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, that main universe has had a couple offbeat movies. The general consensus usually was that they're not that great, and they're nowhere near as good as Marvel. And them now being able to reset that and do whatever they like, with no one telling them they can't do something, that is going to make the biggest difference in whether these movies are coherent with each other and whether they're good.
And having a coherent vision, you know, like, because
that's what Marvel has.
Yeah, and I think James Gunn can really bring that. He has a specific style to his movies, and from this video I've seen, clearly has a direction that he wants to go in, and I think that's going to make the franchise stronger.
Yeah. So let's dive right into going through what the plans are for the DC universe right now. So we're going to get Shazam 2, and that's going to, you know, continue in the same universe that we've known for the past few years. And then that's going to be followed by the Flash movie, and that movie will reset the universe. The events of that movie are going to completely reset the universe. Probably doing some kind of Flashpoint type of thing. The first two movies after the reset will be Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2. Those were the four movies that DC had loaded up, and that's what they're going with. And after these events of the reset, we will flow into James Gunn's projects. And now this is where he gets to start and do whatever he likes. So the first project he unveiled was called Creature Commandos. This one might be cool. It's a 7-episode or so animated series. It's not clear right now whether exactly how many episodes there'll be. It's written entirely by Gunn, and it is already in production. Originally, it's going to be a team of classic monsters assembled to fight Nazis, but they're kind of doing a more modern take on that now. Not much else to report on that one, but it looks fun. How do you feel about them doing these cartoons where their voice actors are their actors in live action also? What do you think about it? Because so they will be connected to the universe, just animated.
I think it's a cool idea, and I think it just brings consistency, and it's something that you haven't seen before. And I just think in an area like superhero movies where there's so much content, keeping stuff consistent is going to make it easier for people to get into it at this point. Instead of this person did this voice in this series and this person played this character in this
he wants
version.
to keep it straight. If Superman shows up in an animated show, it will be the same Superman that you see in live action on the screen. That's really important, and that's what they're going for. And that's exciting because it means it'll be coherent with the main story. So I really like that, and Marvel's been doing that too.
It just makes it less daunting for somebody starting off too. The more
Yeah.
consistent you make it,
And all these projects will be part of the main story, but not all of them will be important to the main story. It will just be like, oh yeah, this is what's going on over here. And after that, we are going to be getting into a show called Waller, and it's going to be a spin-off of the Peacemaker series. Viola Davis will return as Amanda Waller, the head of a government task force. What do you think about this? A Peacemaker spin-off? Because she's now going to be with Team Peacemaker.
I feel pretty positive about it. I mean, Peacemaker was great.
I love Peacemaker.
And you're kind of just picturing the show in your head already. But I wonder how much the style will differ from Peacemaker.
I feel
and
like
what the
it'll be
tone
really
they'll go
similar. You think it'll be similar? I think so.
for. Yeah, you'd have to keep it.
Because I
You'd
believe
think it would be.
Peacemaker will be in it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I guess it would make sense, right? Especially if they're trying to keep things consistent. But sometimes spin-offs go in a bit of a different direction, but it does seem like this one will be pretty straightforward.
Peacemaker's a really cool character.
Yeah, very. He's got a lot of depth.
I want him to be up there with like other characters. Like he's like a C-list character. I want him to become an A-list character because he's so awesome.
And it would just be so cool for John Cena's career for him to like take over and have a big player character.
Imagine Peacemaker interacting with Batman.
It'd be amazing.
I want to see them do that stuff. And you know what? I think now there's a possibility that we will get really cool crossovers like that.
And he's just got a crazy good response. Like overall, he's loved by most people. They should really do more with him.
So the Waller show will probably be like a direct spin-off, and it's like because they saw how everyone received Peacemaker, they're like, okay, let's do something else here also, which we're also getting a Peacemaker season 2 and Waller. So that's like 2 more entire seasons worth of Peacemaker content.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't get overdone. I always think of that because I'm a bit of the pessimist with this stuff, but
yeah,
I feel like I'm just more open because it's something different and something new, but I do worry that at the same time, if they're overloading us, I could get a bit tired of it, but for the most part, I have positive feelings about this series.
Now, after the Waller series, it will lead into Superman Legacy. Gunn is currently writing and may direct this one, but we're not 100% sure on who's going to be directing it just yet. But he is currently writing this story. Superman Legacy is going to be the true kickoff for the new DCEU plans. It will not be an origin story. Superman will be about 25, and it will focus on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Something I've wanted to see for a long time is just a really wholesome approach to Superman. Henry Cavill was kind of dark and gritty, and I just want to see a nice, wholesome story from this, and it seems like that's a story they're going to be adapting. What do you think about it?
I definitely think there needs to be a change. I mean, the Henry Cavill stuff was boring for me a lot of the time.
Yeah, I also agree with you on how you feel about Henry Cavill. I know there are people who love him, but
he looks the part.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give him that. I just think going for that overly dark tone, it just kind of made them slow and very boring movies.
I personally feel like there wasn't a lot of depth to his Superman, and I feel like that could be exploited more with this new one.
But does a more optimistic Superman work? Because I just feel like Superman is so tied to like a certain ideal of like the 50s and kind of the old school, and I don't think that's why he's necessarily held up in popularity to the same degree Batman has.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, just this kind of wholesome Superman character for 2023, like, will people respond to that?
Yeah. I feel like this Superman is gonna be surrounded by characters that are a lot darker and more gritty than him, and I think that is something people will positively react to now, because people do like change. And I just want Superman to be likable again.
Yeah, it would be nice to see it like take over the box office and just be a massive hit and be virtually loved.
Superman gets a lot of hate online.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I mean, to be honest, like I don't think much about Superman myself when I think
Yeah.
of superheroes at all.
And I just think that's because of what we've gotten the past 10 years of Superman wasn't explored that much.
But even the old Superman movies, which people say are classic, they're pretty cheesy if you go back and watch them now. Has not held up
Yeah,
to the same degree
that's
the other
true.
Batmans have.
But I do want that tone back in Superman. And
Well, it fits him.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to be getting. It looks like they're going to be following a somewhat of a story that was set up with Superman All-Star. It's going to be a kind of sort of adaptation of Superman All-Star, which is really cool because they could change things up, but for the most part, what that tells us is what the tone is going to be like. So I'm really excited for that one. What do we got next year?
We got Lanterns. That's what's going to be next. And this will be a new take on the story of Lantern Corp. The vision for this is kind of in the vein of True Detective, which sounds interesting. Terrestrial based. And it will feature prominent Lantern heroes Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And this one will play a really big role in leading the story to come.
That's really cool. Damn, Green Lantern has not been around for a long time. Last time Green Lantern was around was Ryan Reynolds, right?
Which is just kind of ridiculous to think of him playing that really in the past.
But yeah, what James Gunn does really well is like the terrestrial stuff and how that connects to stuff that takes place in outer space. And this will do both. So I'm pretty excited for him to do this. It looks like a really cool approach to Green Lantern.
And it would be nice to see it kind of take off for the first time.
And we're finally getting Jon Stewart as a character. So it'll be a really cool duo to have together in live action.
And I'm kind of interested in that origin story. Like, to be honest, it just sounds interesting. And I like the whole mythology behind the Green Lantern. So.
Yeah. And with this Jon Stewart character, he's pretty much been way more popular than the Hal Jordan character as of late. So I'm really excited to have them both in here. What about what's next? The Authority? That's something you're pretty excited for, eh?
This is going to be a movie based on a team of superheroes with extreme views on how to protect the planet. We have a quote from James Gunn here. One of the things of the DCU is that it's not just a story of heroes and villains. They are kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They know that you want them on the wall, or at least they believe that. So, this show sounds pretty interesting to me as far as the direction they could take. Do they do something in the vein of The Boys? Kind of do a similar thing to that?
Yeah, The Boys has been huge lately.
Yeah, and that seems like the logical step, to make it kind of have a humor element to it. Or do they do something I think would be kind of risky and cool, but could also be really cheesy and stupid and go the serious route with it?
Yeah.
Make some really dark kind of show that's kind of like, I don't know, like an authoritarian thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be quite similar to Watchmen in that sense, which is super cool stuff.
Good comparison, by the way.
Yeah. And the show Invincible also. There's been a couple of these properties like The Boys, Watchmen, and Invincible that have taken on like that dark approach to superheroes and how insane it'd be if they were actually real. I'm really excited for that one too. After The Authority, we're getting a show called Paradise Lost, and it's described as an HBO Max series that will be a Game of Thrones style approach to the Themyscira, the home of Wonder Woman. This one will be filled with political intrigue and scheming and, plays between different power players within the Themyscira. It takes place before the events of all the Wonder Woman films, so they can really just do whatever they like here. That's really cool for them to be exploring that. And we're getting a new Batman.
Always a good thing. That's the one superhero thing I get really excited for at this point.
Brand new Batman that will be well established in this new universe before we've seen him. So they're doing Brave and the Bold. And this upcoming Batman movie, Bruce Wayne discovers he has a son named Damian Wayne, and he will be trained as an assassin, and Bruce must raise him. It's not clear at this point who will star the characters, but the fact that they're adapting the story is awesome. um, Damian Wayne is probably my least favorite Robin.
Yeah.
I'm not really a big fan of him, but it's really cool that they're doing this story, and I'm just really intrigued with the casting for this one.
And I think for people who haven't seen comic book movies, it's a really, I mean, haven't read comic books, excuse me, it's an interesting kind of plot. It sounds like it's something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, so
It just feels different already. So I'm pumped for this one, as I usually am for Batman.
and it's bold, doing this story with Robin, and that's just the first look we get into this Batman, is the story where he's training Damian Wayne. That's a really crazy way to start a new character.
Attempt? Sorry, out of Robin, since
Yeah.
Batman and Robin, since like
Really?
having them
Yeah.
together. Wow.
So
My God,
I think they're going to do a great job with it too, though.
pressure.
There's so much pressure here.
Same with the
He's
Wonder
doing
Woman thing, because the
everything.
last Wonder Woman was a disaster
Like,
too.
James Gunn's going to be showing us his vision on Wonder Woman, on Superman, on Batman, and up next, Booster Gold.
I'm excited for this one.
Like, there's so much pressure for him
Yeah.
on all of these titles. It's just crazy. Booster Gold is going to be a show about a man who travels back in time with modern day technology to become a superhero. So it'll be ridiculous and stupid. I don't know too much about that one, but the way he describes it is really, really fun sounding.
Well,
So,
if they could do it in a comedic way too, you could have great scenes with him abusing the power and like all the stuff you would do
yeah.
if you had that kind of ability. And I don't know, it's a new take. It's a very fresh take
Yeah.
for me. I can't think of anything else that's really like this that's come out recently.
And the next big thing after that is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This movie will be based on Tom King's recent run of comics. Superman was raised with loving parents, and Supergirl in this was left on a piece of Krypton, and she had to watch her family die, and that has really affected her character. So Supergirl's gonna be a much different character than this Superman. He describes her as being much more dark and jaded, her view on the world and everything. What do you think about that?
This one's interesting too, because the last kind of Supergirl thing fell apart, I
Yeah.
believe. And again, just pressure. I don't have too many thoughts about this one. I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't know if I'll be checking
Yeah.
out this one right away. There's stuff here that sticks out to me a lot more.
Yeah.
But I'm not as invested as other people are. So I'm sure if you're fully invested in DC, then this sounds amazing to you. This one just didn't stick out to me as much.
Yeah, it'll just be interesting to see the darker take on Supergirl. So the very last thing at the end of this list of upcoming content is Swamp Thing. And this will close off the slate. James Gunn said there may be some things else that are going to be squeezed in here, but Swamp Thing was the last thing he revealed, and we got let in that the title of this entire series of movies will be called Gods and Monsters. So to have Swamp Thing end it off, it's a fitting title,
Very fitting.
because we're getting this, what was it called? This creature commandos, which are going to be all monsters and whatnot, and we're getting Swamp Thing, which is another monster, but then the gods aspect, we got Wonder Woman stuff, and we got Superman stuff. So yeah, titling it Gods and Monsters is super cool. And that fits in well. What do you think of that approach? They're bringing us with this chunk of content. We're getting gods and monsters. I don't know. It's just really cool.
I just think it's a cool title and it's simple and to the point, and it has a ring to it like right away.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and it is very it's very intriguing, and it's just a nice way to organize it, and kind of as your first statement in this big reboot. I think it's a nice name.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm into that monster stuff a lot. So having Swamp Thing brought in, I love Swamp Thing, and Marvel has the character Man Thing, which is really similar. And we just saw in a Marvel project, I think it was Werewolf by Night, we got to see Man Thing in the Marvel universe. So I've been excited to see DC's equivalent, Swamp Thing. It's a really cool story, and it'll be in another dark, separate, gritty corner of this universe that will feature lots of monsters. So I'm really excited for that.
If they can make it really scary.
Oh, because he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, they don't have the same restrictions as their
They could make
competitor.
a really cool like horror film that's in this universe. He could, and he probably will.
Yeah, I could picture it, and James Gunn too, if he does it. This is all him. This be,
Yeah.
or will he have
No,
anything to do with this? This will be
he's
somebody else.
co-CEO. He has a partner with him, but he's gonna be dipping into every one of these projects. His name will be on every one of these.
Yeah, you could just make the sets look amazing too,
Yeah.
and really have a strong character to the look. Like, I'm even picturing like how disgusting they could make the swamp look or anything like that.
Yeah, the set design on this show has to be top tier. You know, taking place in a swamp and making it look like the main character Swamp Thing is a part of the swamp and is a creature of the swamp. So I really want them to match character with the universe around him really well. That's really important with this character. But that is all that we got revealed for us. There's a huge feature there is a huge future for the DC universe ahead of us, and I'm really excited to dive into these. For most of this, though, we're gonna have to wait till 2025 for most of this to begin. You know, all the movies that they had loaded up before, like Aquaman and Shazam, you know, those are gonna come. But until all these brand new James Gunn projects are headed our way, not until 2025.
And you know they were struggling before when Aquaman and Shazam are your big
Yeah.
sellers that are kind of carrying on
I
this
heard
old
that they were
guard.
out of money, WB.
Yeah,
So, and they could only afford to release those two movies,
yeah.
which is crazy to think that that they're struggling to make profit on these DC films lately.
Yeah, and I just think it's crazy that the two that were really carrying it before were like Shazam and Aquaman, and those are like two pretty obscure
That's weird. that
heroes in the
those-
grand scheme of things.
That's weird that those two were the most popular.
And it's a bad sign. Like, if that's the best you
Yeah.
can do is with an Aquaman movie or a Shazam movie, like,
The past DC universe, we didn't really get a Batman movie. We had Batman v Superman.
yeah.
And then we had Batman and Justice League. There wasn't any time to get to know that Batman. They made a lot of mistakes, in my opinion, in the past DC universe that is going to be reset.
They didn't try to be their own thing. I mean, they were just, unfortunately for them, it was just they were too late to the game, and they were just constantly playing catch up
Yeah.
with Marvel. And instead of just focusing on making great movies.
But yeah, guys, that is the big news. New Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, you know, Supergirl, all this is going to be brand new content. We're getting Green Lanterns too. So, you know, that is it for the news on the DC universe. Really excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Kind of.
Yeah.
I think I always say DC is going to be fascinating to look back on years from now. Just
Yeah.
all the changes and all the differences and the reboots and everything. It's just interesting to follow. And honestly, this announcement gets me pretty excited and more excited than I've been for anything superhero related recently.
Yeah, I'm just really excited because he gets to do whatever he likes with this. And when there is like one or two people with all the creative control, you're getting their direct vision. You know, I think that was a big issue with a lot of Star Wars movies is producers and executives and whatnot telling the story writers and creators of the story what they can and can't do. That's always a bad recipe, in my opinion.
And they got to stick. They got to stick to what they plan to do. I feel like Star Wars had to course correct a lot, and within 3 movies, which
We were jarred
it's
around.
complicated, right?
Yeah.
But this, obviously, they have more time to stretch it out and keep things consistent. But if they can stick to their vision and not pivot constantly, like the
Yeah.
previous incarnation did, I think it'll be a lot stronger,
Yeah.
more successful.
That's it for the DC talk today, guys. That's a lot of information to absorb. But other than that, what's been going on with you lately? Have you been watching anything, you know, in your spare time that's been keeping you entertained?
Recently, I watched a classic,
Yeah.
The Big Lebowski.
Nice.
Which, what more needs to be said about that movie? It's unique to any other movie you'll see. The Coen brothers are genius, and it's a very chaotic movie. I was describing a scene to Ben that I love, and you know the word he used was chaotic, and that's kind of just a good way to describe it. I mean, You know, I mean, John Goodman as the Vietnam vet in the movie, Walter is that's probably my favorite part of the movie. You know, the way his just temper goes off out of nowhere, and he's threatening a guy with a gun at a bowling alley over, like, you know, putting his foot over the line. And
No, really, I haven't seen it.
yeah, that's probably one of my favorite scenes, because in any other situation it's like this intense angry moment that would be scary and like harrowing, but I'm just laughing my ass off because just the amount he's overreacting.
Yeah.
And then you've got the dude, of course, played by Jeff Bridges, who's like a stoner icon, that character, and started a kind of religion called dudism. If you haven't
my God.
looked into that, basically living like the dude is the whole crux of the religion. But you know, I can go deeper into it, but it's been talked about at length, and I would like to do a full episode on it at some point.
Yeah.
And dissect it more.
I gotta watch it then. I haven't seen it, so you recommend it?
Yeah, of course. Even if you watch this, but it's, you know, it's famous for a reason, right? Just a classic.
Yeah.
I also have been checking out I guess you would call it sequel / reboot, that 90s show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is coming off that 70s show, of course, and features the grandparents. Well, they're now grandparents. Eric Foreman's parents, Kitty and Red, taking care of his daughter over summer. You'll know if you'll watch the show.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just got to say, it's like awful. It's
Really? Terrible?
But you sound shocked.
No, you know what? I wasn't actually expecting you to say it was dog water.
No, it is dog water is a good way to describe it. But I'm dumb because I knew it was going to be bad. I knew I wasn't going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
And it's just it's more of a reminder on just how the sitcom format is dying.
Yeah.
And really, sitcoms are all about the cast, and it's like you're not going to get the same vibe and the same energy from these new people trying to recreate the vibe of this show that's over 20 years old.
You just gotta accept that it is what it was, and you can't strike gold again. Like, it's just a little too ambitious sometimes.
And the sad thing is, I watched all 10 episodes of that first season,
God.
even though I wasn't enjoying it because I was kind of just in that mindset. I was busy with school, and I'm like, when I'm watching TV, I just want to turn my brain off. I don't want to think.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And I'm going to watch this show that is garbage. And as I'm watching it, I'm like,
okay.
oh my God, this is annoying. And I'm still made it through the whole season. But it's bad.
Let me tell you, I've been doing some light TV also, and I've been watching a lot of Bob's Burgers.
That's better.
It's a great cartoon, in my opinion. I'm in it. I'm deep in it. You know, I've watched so much Bob's Burgers the past few weeks. It's just super awkward humor, and it makes me laugh every episode. I'm laughing out loud, and that might not jive with you. You know, it might not be your type of humor, but I love that show. It's on Disney Plus, and we get new episodes every week. So
I got to check it out more. I've watched a few episodes, and it didn't stick out. Like when I was watching it, I'm like, this is good, but I just never went back to it.
Okay. You know, that is a show where you can just flip through the episodes and watch one that looks interesting. So don't let starting with episode 1 and going through episode 1, 2. If you just want to start somewhere, just do it. And if there's not a huge cohesive story between all the seasons, every episode kind of stands on its own. So you can dive in wherever you want.
I kind of like skipping to the good stuff first.
Yeah, you can totally do that with Bob's Burgers.
Same with The Simpsons. Like just go right to where... Instead of going through all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not gonna
if you want to become a huge fan and know it all, then you should go in order. But you just want to like get into it, just start wherever it looks interesting for you, really.
And I like that kind of humor. I like the awkward humor. But what else have you been checking out?
Yeah, I was checking out The Bad Batch, which is a Star Wars show. It's an animated kind of continuation of the Clone Wars, and it follows like genetically enhanced clones, you know, after the Empire has taken over. And they're running around just doing missions, you know. It's a pretty chill show. And like that, every episode's kind of different. You know, it's just a team running around doing stuff. So I don't really want to talk about The Bad Batch too much. I haven't been enjoying the second season as much as the first. I haven't really been paying attention to it a lot. So it's okay, though. No big commitments, just Bob's Burgers and stuff like that. A lot of light TV.
Well, you know what I've been continuing? The Last of Us.
Oh yeah, The Last of Us is. I'm also watching that.
Which update is holding up?
Okay, big controversy this last new episode.
Yeah.
So I watched it and absolutely loved it, and then went online and saw that people were tearing it apart.
Well, as I was watching it, I'm like, is this the show's The Fly in episode 3 already? Everybody, I knew I'd probably see online everybody complaining. This has nothing to do with the storyline.
I don't care though, because it was just great to watch. It was enjoyable, so I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at all. Like after I was like, oh, what was the kind of point of that? But I'm like, I don't care. I enjoyed it and it went by quick, and they did a great job storytelling in that one episode.
Yeah, and at the end of it all, Joel and Ellie needed supplies, and this is where they went to get them, and it's impacts the main story a lot more when it spends 30 to 40 minutes showing you the people and their love story, and then when Joel and Ellie arrive, those people died.
Yeah.
You know what? I might edit here the spoilers.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it was really cool just explaining how they get their supplies, and it gave a lot of backstory to a subplot, and it was just really enjoyable. I don't care that it didn't push the main story forward too much. I thought it was really great.
No, and I love Nick Offerman, so
yeah,
the second I saw he was in it, I'm like, yes, this is,
yeah,
you know, he's and he works for that kind of character.
Yeah,
and I was just impressed how much they were able to make you, fall for those characters and feel like
the show is
emotion
beautiful
for them in that time. Yeah,
it's beautiful, and the way it's shot, and the colors, and the color grading, and the tone, beautiful visually, and with the story that they just told in this last episode, it was beautiful also. When we got a little bit more details on Joel, and how he feels about his past relationships in his life, like it gave us a lot of context. And if an entire episode was just giving us context to something, that's okay with me, because that's world building.
Yeah, and you have the time to do that. I mean, it's this long form show with over an hour per episode, so I mean, certainly do it. I mean, I would like it to pick up now. Yeah. On episode 4.
Yeah, they will.
Because if you think the first 3 episodes, we've kind of had a slow build since.
Yeah, but I've loved it all.
Oh, I've liked it. It's all. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's flown by. I'm just noticing. Like, usually when I'm done, I'm like, it's crazy how much this held my attention. Because if you think about it, not too much happened as far as the progression. Episode 2, obviously a bit more so, but even that, like, they only got so far.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Been watching that. That's the only like heavy show that I've been watching other than that, light Bob's Burgers and stuff. So Last of Us every Sunday. Love it. You should check it out.
I need to find a new show, to be honest, because that's the only show.
Game of Thrones. You have to watch Game of Thrones.
Oh my god. I've tried.
Don't you just want to know though, like what it's all about?
I'm sure it's worth it. I'm sure it's amazing.
Because it's become such a phenomenon.
But every time I watch it, I'm like, I just have no desire.
But listen, you have to get through the first season. You have to get through the first season. And then, even the end of the first season is awesome and you're into it. It's just the first 6 episodes is like pretty slow. But just know, as you're getting into those 6 episodes, all of those episodes is just introducing all these characters and how they know each other. That is what is building up.
But I don't know. Maybe that medieval thing doesn't do it for me, man.
That's totally fine. I am a fanatic for like medieval times era things and the Renaissance era. Like, I am a huge fan of that stuff. So of course I like Game of Thrones. And if you're not into knights and shit, then you're definitely not gonna like it. So
yeah, and I don't know. I like the stuff I'll watch more so that I'll just always watch under this genre is like gangster stuff, or like,
yeah, that's way more your speed.
Yeah, like boozy kind of movies where it's a lot of people hanging out in bars and doing.
That's
I don't know,
the stuff you like. I like all that nerdy fucking shit.
I can do space and like sci-fi, but just the fantasy stuff is a bit. It's just a bit too much. It just doesn't grab me at all. Like, I don't know what it is. But Game of Thrones, like I can watch Game of Thrones and be like, this is good,
Yeah.
objectively, and be like, this is great. But
You can know stuff is good and appreciate it without it being up your alley.
yeah, well, that's part of anything, right? And I think COVID screwed my attention span too for that stuff because I feel like
yeah.
I'd just have a hard time keeping track
Yeah.
of everyone.
You know what, though? Breaking Bad was kind of slow at the start.
Yeah, I don't know though, like because that way that pilot starts is pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
for Breaking Bad.
I got into it right away, but I've heard some people say it's a little bit of a slow start too. And maybe everything is a slow start because you don't know any of the characters. And once you know everybody in a show, all the characters, you're way more invested at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
So starting is harder, obviously.
I know, but I don't find that with Breaking Bad. I really did.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of classic moments with Jesse's voicemail. That's all in like the early episodes. Or is that in the early? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was. It's just a good show. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. Just kind of want to have some chit chat talking about what shows we've been watching lately. Also, let us know what you guys think of the upcoming DC movies and this entire new DC slate handled by James Gunn, where he gets to do whatever the heck he wants. It's really huge news.
Yeah, and I'm also, look, as a music fan, I'm looking forward to the soundtracks.
He has good taste.
He just makes a cool... My favorite soundtracks more than scores, not to keep going here too long, but
That's okay.
more than scores are... I just like it when somebody creates a great playlist and they just pull these obscure songs that people have forgotten about or that I didn't know about and puts them onto this...
He's become known for that now.
running order that creates a vibe. It's quite a talent.
Yeah.
And soundtracks are almost my favorite way to listen to music now. I love listening to soundtracks.
Yeah. I started listening to like game soundtracks, like the ambiance and stuff, and it was hard to get into that stuff, like listening to just vocals, like Skyrim music. I just like listening to that stuff too. It's cool to look into the art behind something. The music is a huge factor in tone when it comes to games and movies.
And I like it too when it's a soundtrack that features existing like songs, so no score. They add meaning to the songs or make you look at them in a different way.
Yeah.
And now you'll be listening to those songs outside of the movie and you'll be feeling them a lot more because you'll identify them with a big scene or how a character's feeling or that kind of identity. And I just love them. So
yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. Let us know what you think about the upcoming DC movies, and let us know what casual watching you've also been doing. What shows do you turn your brain off to at night? Let us know if you're watching on YouTube in the comments. So we'll catch you guys next week. Here for you every week.
bye.
Goodbye.